At this point, you guys probably know your Xbox controllers like the back of your hand, but I reckon I've got a few fun facts about it that you've never heard before, so try these on for size. Now, Xbox gamers of old will definitely have seen this guy before. It's called the Duke controller, and well, it's pretty massive. But did you know that it's actually record-breakingly massive? That's right, the OG controller holds the Guinness World Record for biggest controller, which is an honor that was bestowed upon it as part of the 2008 Gamers Edition. And if you're wondering where the nickname came from, it was actually Microsoft project manager Brent Schnepf, whose son was named Duke. Why'd they name it after him? Was Schnepf Jr. an especially robust child? Do they too come with 6 face buttons and dual joysticks? Well, sadly, the answers to these vital questions are lost to time. But if you're watching the video, Schnepf Jr., let us know. After the OG Xbox came the 360, and a controller that pretty much set a new high watermark for how good a gamepad could be. So comfy, so intuitive, so pretty. I mean, Da Vinci crafted some nice stuff in his time, but I'd love to have seen him come up with one of these bad boys. Especially not one of these. I mean, this is a custom Halo Wars edition, which very hard to find, by the way, so I'll be very careful with that. That's great and all, but it also did leave Microsoft with a formidable challenge of one-upping it for future generations. And much like that charming old man in Jurassic Park, they spared no expense. Over $100 million was spent in the development of the Xbox One controller, which look like these. This one's a pig. This development process was actually pretty interesting because they would 3D print new prototypes that were each like a millimeter wider than the last. They would test these new models with over 500 people of all ages and ability levels, but they called on not just the experience of industry veterans, but elite Xbox gamers with especially spicy gamer scores. I mean, they'd just spend months even getting things like the glow of the guide button just right. That's how important it was. But in the end, they came out with a controller that was even better than the legendary 360 gamepad. Didn't think they could, but look at that pig. The Xbox controllers of today are so responsive that it feels like the game reads your button press pretty much the instant you press it, and that's because it pretty much does. I mean, wireless Xbox gamepads tend to have an input latency, and that's basically the gap between you pressing the button and the game responding of about 10 milliseconds. Now, to understand just how little that is, think about counting Mississippi. You know, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. That takes you about 1 second. With 10 milliseconds, you wouldn't even get all the way through the M at the start of the word. So that's fast. Or how about the fact that an average human eye blink takes at least 10 times as long, or that sound would be able to travel about 10 feet in that same time. Whichever way you're slicing it, 10 milliseconds of input lag makes for an incredibly responsive controller, and the wired gamepads cut it down even further. You basically can't tell the difference. The good news is that it makes Xbox controllers ideal for fast-paced, highly competitive games like Tekken 8 or Warzone, where the slightest delay can cost you the match. The bad news is that now that you know, I'm afraid you're not going to be able to blame your controller the next time you lose your games. Plus, everyone else has got that same difference, so even playing field. Gutted. Now, while I've done some pretty incredible things with my Xbox controllers, you know, from piloting jumbo jets to defeating Lilith on Diablo, I have to admit that the software company BodyViz has probably found the most impressive use for them. Now, BodyViz, if you've never heard of them, I wouldn't be surprised, but they're responsible for developing anatomy visualization software. Bear with me. It's the same kind that's used in CAT scans, MRI scans, when doctors want to have a real good nose inside of a patient. In the past, these 3D models were manipulated using a mouse and keyboard setup, but they realized this was actually kind of cumbersome, whereas an Xbox controller turned out to be a way more intuitive method of control, and surgeons found it way easier to rotate, zoom, and otherwise maneuver through the images. So who knows, maybe all those hours that you spent playing games might actually translate into a career saving lives. Over the years, Xbox has dazzled us with some seriously rare controllers. I'm talking rarer than hen's teeth rare. I mean, you remember that Halo Wars controller I showed you? Here's another one, Modern Warfare 3. Not that one, the old one. That's how old it is, yeah. In fact, just recently, they actually created a pair of bootylicious gamepads to celebrate the release of Deadpool and Wolverine. Great film, by the way. But only a couple of competition winners were actually lucky enough to get their hands on them. I mean, to play them, not the... You know what I mean. But that's definitely not the first time that Xbox has given out an incredible, ultra-rare controller. They've also previously offered a pair of gorgeous Mandalorian controllers, which I was super jealous about, to celebrate the show's Season 2 finale. But there was also this Wonka-inspired gamepad, which was made of actual chocolate. Probably not worth playing with that one, because Imagine the mess. Regardless, we do have loads of favorites, as you can see here in the Xbox On archives, including, I'm not going to show it to you, but we have one of these C-3PO Star Wars Xbox 360 controllers somewhere. It's definitely not gone missing in my house. Don't look. But I want to know, what is the best Xbox controller that you've ever seen? Why don't you hit the comments, let us know. And what would you like to see in the future as well? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.